Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Ubuntu Community Q&A. This is our very first one for 2016. So welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone had a good holiday break. I know I did. David, how about you?
Hey, Mike. I'm glad these were very nice holidays. A lot of time with the family and a lot of time hacking on Ubuntu as well. What about you?
Not a whole lot of hacking on Ubuntu, actually. I put the laptop down for a little while. It's a nice, refreshing thing to do every once in a while.
Nice.
All right, so for those who are new or who have forgotten over the past 2 weeks how this works, if you go to ubuntuonair.com, you will see this video, and right below it, you'll see an embedded IRC window. If you have your own IRC client, you can join #ubuntu-on-air on Freenode IRC. That's where we'll be taking your questions. You can ask us anything you want, anytime you want. Just start it with the word question in all capital letters, and it'll be highlighted for us so that we don't lose track of it. We will come and answer them in the order they come in until we run out of questions or until we run out of time, whichever comes first. We usually start off with some updates, but because we have all been out for a little while, we don't have much in the way of updates. The one thing we do want to talk about, though, is the big Ubukcon Summit, which is coming up later this month. If you go to ubukcon.org, you'll find out more information about that. That will be January 21st and 22nd in Pasadena, California. It is co-hosted with the Southern California Linux Expo, which starts on the 21st and goes until I think the 23rd or 24th. And we do encourage anybody who's coming to Ubukcon to join that as well. But the Ubukcon is going to be special this year because it's not only is it quite a bit bigger, but we've got some big speakers coming in. Such as Mark Shuttleworth, who's going to give a keynote. We've got John O'Bacon coming back again to give a keynote. And we've also got somebody from Dell who's going to be coming in and talking about how Dell ships Ubuntu on some of their laptops and how that's working out for them. Plus, we're going to have a bunch of community people there giving presentations, either keynotes or smaller sessions. It's really going to bring back a lot of the feel that we had with the Ubuntu Developer Summit, the in-person developer summits that we used to have in the past. So we're all really looking forward to that. If you can get to Southern California that week, I would strongly encourage you to do so. Attendance to Ubukcon is free. If you're going to attend Scale, like again, we do encourage you to do. There is a registration fee for that, but if you use the Ubuntu code, it's UBNTU, I think. You get a 50% discount on your registration for Scale. All of that information is on the registration page on ubukcon.org, as well as links to where you can go to register for that. So if you're coming, please go register. That'll let us know how many people to expect. We're trying to provide coffee, and there's going to be an after party on the second day. So knowing how many people are going to be there for that is going to help us with planning. So please do register, and we're looking forward to seeing you all there. All right, and like I said, I think that was the only update that we have. So if anybody has questions, go ahead and start asking them in the IRC channel. David, did you have any updates or anything you wanted to talk about?
Well, I wanted to remind developers who are listening to us that if they are into JavaScript, they can try the developer preview of the JavaScript Scopes API. It's fairly well documented on developer.ubuntu.com/scopes/tutorials, I think. Yes, it is. And basically, it will walk you through creating your first scope in JavaScript. So if you don't know what a scope is, it's a lightweight application, always running, and allowing you to display anything like silos of data. Amazon, eBay, RSS feeds, anything you can think of that can display through a list or grid, you can view it through a scope, and it's very convenient for users. And until now, it was mostly in C++ and Go, but now we also have JavaScript support, and it's extremely fast and extremely simple to do, especially since we have NPM support. Basically, you can just load any node modules into your scope, and it's very convenient and quick to access APIs and pretty much anything on the web. So if you haven't checked it out, it's really nice. Looks like we have our first questions.
All right. Jan asks, is there anything you can share about the forthcoming BQ convergence device? I can share that it's going to be awesome, and convergence is awesome, and everybody's going to love it. Unfortunately, that's all the detail I can share. I actually don't have a whole lot of detail about this device. I think it's going to be shown at MWC in, I think, February. So you might get your first glimpse about it then. Nightmare asks, will we see any optimizations made from the phone in 1604? Do you mean optimizations for the phone image or optimizations coming from the phone and having an effect on the desktop? I think in either case, the answer is going to be yes. I mean, we're always working on optimizing the code. The UI toolkit just recently got a whole lot of optimizations to help speed up things like list items. So I think either way, there's going to be optimizations that you're going to get. You might also get some if you're talking about stuff coming from the phone to the desktop, you should also consider stuff coming from Ubuntu Core and Snappy to the desktop, because a lot of the optimizations that they're doing for, those IoT boards are also going to be coming and helping out desktop users.
We have another question by Dragonbyte. Related to Dell offering Ubuntu on their computers, what about their touchscreen devices? Is Ubuntu offered on these? Are there plans to include them, and would be any different than desktop Ubuntu Touch? Well, some laptops they're offering touchscreens, but I'm not sure what you are referring to with touchscreen devices. The XPS 13 and 15 have touchscreen options, and they are shipped with Ubuntu.
Are they shipped with Ubuntu? I wasn't sure if any of the Dell ones, the Dell Ubuntu laptops came with touchscreens.
Well, at least on the Dell France website, which I visited today actually, there was an option.
Okay, so if they have that, Dell is only shipping Unity 7 right now, so you're not going to get Ubuntu Touch. But there are some multi-touch features in Unity 7 itself that help move windows around, resize windows, making that a little bit easier. So those should be available on those laptops. No news on Dell shipping anything with Ubuntu Touch yet, although they do have a nice line of tablets, which I wouldn't mind seeing Ubuntu and Unity 8 on. All right, Erisminos, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, is asking, will we see any updates to Web App Container? David, you've been working a lot with these guys. Do you know of any upcoming Web App Container improvements?
Well, I know about one improvement that you can test right now if you find the right PPA. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's web notification support, like Firefox or Chrome. But now it works in the Web App Container as well. For example, I'm running IRC Cloud in a Web App Container, and I get on the desktop, and I get native notifications, which is pretty nice. It should work on the device, but I'm not sure how it will play with the application life cycle management. But at least the feature is here. It should probably land in OTA 9. If you are using a development channel, you will have it right now.
And is that using the W3C
Yeah.
notifications API? Oh,
Yes,
awesome.
it is.
Cool. All right. Jan is asking, have any OEMs besides BQ and Meizu shown interest in Ubuntu for mobiles recently? Um, Not sure what you mean by recently, but yes, there are several OEMs that have expressed interest. There's a lot that we're um, in conversations with at different levels. Obviously, I can't really give any detail about who or when to expect them, but there is ongoing discussions with other companies about this.
Chloe Wolfie Girl is asking, how was your holidays, Mike?
My holidays was good. I had a lot of family around, so things were a little bit hectic sometimes. So it wasn't a relaxing, sit around, do nothing kind of holiday, but it was nice. It was still nice. How about you?
Pretty much the same for me. I have two toddlers, and
So
it's
nothing ever slows down for you.
it puts a different light on holidays.
Yeah. So how old are they now? Are they getting to where, they're excited about Christmas?
Yes, the older one is 18 months, and he's starting to understand the concept of Christmas and presents, and it was a lot of fun.
I tell you what, it doesn't last very long, but that age bracket between, when they start to understand the concept of Christmas and Santa and when they outgrow Santa is really a lot of fun for a parent. So
Yeah,
you've got some good years to look forward to in
I'm
terms of
looking forward
Christmas.
to it. Yes. And Chloe Wolfier is also asking about the HUD.
Yes.
And yeah, I'd
No
love
news
to
yet.
see
Sorry.
yeah. I think we all would love to see it make a comeback on the phone and in Unity 8 in general, but no news about that yet.
Yeah, we need to poke the Unity 8 developers and maybe get one of them on one of these hangouts sometime soon to talk about that and see if they've got new designs yet. All right. Chloe, no, Jan is asking, what would you both personally like to see in 2016 from the Ubuntu community? It's a very broad question. I would like to see just more Ubuntu community. More people, more projects that are being started by people in the community.
On my end, since I'm working a lot on developer.ubuntu.com, I'd like to find a way to involve more of the community into the site and just find a way, because people are posting tutorials everywhere. And I think we should do a better job at gathering these and giving them more visibility and make developer.ubuntu.com like a hub for all these tutorials. So yes, I'd like to see just more involvement in developer tools, developer learning tools, and I like to cater for this as much as I can.
Yeah, this isn't something that we've pushed a lot, but developer.ubuntu.com isn't just for canonical people to update. We would love to get people writing, blog posts or tutorial pages for the site itself. We've got a Launchpad team that we can add you to that'll give you editor access. So anybody who's involved in developing stuff for Ubuntu that wants to write for that site, please get in touch with David or I or anybody on the community team, really. We'd love to have your contributions to that and grow it to be something that's updated by more people than just the handful of us that are doing it right now.
Chloe Wolfier is asking a question to you, Mike. Any new updates planned for eReddit?
Yes, I've got quite a bit of work into it right now that's not in the store. I've started updating it to the latest UI toolkit and trying to use some of the new features. And it's in a little bit of a broken state right now, which is why I haven't uploaded it into the store. The big thing that I'm working on is like a slideshow view of images. So if you go to like /r/funny and 80% of them are just images, you can just flip through them one at a time instead of browsing the list and having to click on each one. That mostly works, but there's some weird bug in Qt itself where certain animated GIFs will just make the whole app crash. So I haven't spent a lot of time on it recently to fix it. But yes, there are changes coming. If I can figure out this bug, I may just release what I currently have, even though it's not real great at the moment, just to get another update out there soon. The next big thing I want to do, though, is we've got these new adaptive layouts to make it easier to write convergence apps. And right now, you read it, when you resize it, you'll get multiple columns, and it looks kind of nice, but it's not overly functional. So I want to start using some of the new layout components that they've introduced for convergence to make it work better on the desktop. But like I said, I haven't had much time. I'm learning Android development and working on an Android game in my spare time right now. So that's why UReddit hasn't had a whole lot of love recently.
Well, I can say that UReddit is my most used app on the phone, really. Like during the early days when I'm trying to get one kid to sleep.
So along the same lines as what I was saying with the developer portal, I'm open to any contributions for UReddit. I actually had somebody email me over the holidays a new icon, which looks much better than the one I threw together in Inkscape. So as soon as I get a high resolution version of that, I'll replace the one that's currently being used. But anyone who wants to contribute code-wise to it, please send me merge proposals on Launchpad. I would love to get them. And if not UReddit, any of the other open source apps that are on there, the core apps are always looking for extra help. We've got a lot of community developed open source apps that can use some help or some new features or expansion or whatnot. So even if you don't have an app idea for yourself and you want to get involved in app development, there's plenty of options for you to choose from. All right, enough about UReddit. Nightmare asks, at CES this year, there are quite a few manufacturers who are offering monitors with Type-C USB connectors for Microsoft's Continuum. Can Ubuntu or Canonical take advantage of this for their convergence platform? I don't see why not. I mean, that's all at the hardware level. So as long as a phone supports video out over that connection, then it's just a matter of enabling it in the drivers for Ubuntu. Once it's enabled in the drivers, then it should be no problem for Mir and Unity to take advantage of the USB-C connection for that. They're also working currently on wireless display technology, so I think Miracast is the protocol that they're working on right now. And I think they're going to have a demo of that sometime either late winter or early spring for us to see, which will be exciting.
One cool thing to note is that they're not only working on Miracast, but on an abstraction layer for wireless display, which is called Aethercast, and Miracast is just a plugin of it. So we can imagine other protocols supported.
That'll be nice. That'll future-proof it to some extent too. When somebody comes out with a new protocol or a device or smart TV, that you can do that with.
Yep. Chloe Wolfigirl is asking, any plans to make the notifications more dynamic? Will there be the ability to choose to download a podcast on Podbird via the notification?
I don't know what the plans are for that. I mean, we already have some extra options for notifications for like SMS messages or incoming phone calls or whatnot. I don't know how much of that is a supported API that we're going to expose to other apps or not.
I don't know as well.
We should start putting together a list for this year's guests to have on, because we already talked about having somebody from the Unity team on. We should get somebody from the I guess this would be the Unity APIs side of things.
Yep.
All right, Jan is asking, if Ubuntu for mobile devices fails to gain traction, what kind of ramifications will this have for Ubuntu on the desktop? Would Canonical abandon personal computing and focus on the enterprise exclusively? Obviously, I can't speak for that high-level business decisions, but I don't see us abandoning the desktop anytime soon. We have to replace Unity 7 at some point on the desktop. Unity 8's the obvious replacement for that, so that's going to continue getting work no matter what. We're doing okay on the mobile right now. I mean, we've got phones being sold. There's a very low rate of returns on those. Our OEM partners are happy with what's going on, happy enough that they're putting out second and third devices. So I think we're doing okay on that front. I'm really not worried at all about that. Plus, the whole Snappy Internet of Things stuff. These little devices, some of them are going to have screens or want to connect to wireless screens or something like that. So, all that work is going to tie together one way or another. Chloe, any secrets that you're not supposed to talk about related to Ubuntu Phone that you'd like to talk about, and what are they? Not very subtle there. So no secrets at all.
Well, I know that you can type a secret code on the BQ E5 and it will slightly hover over your desk.
That's it. The new BQ device is going to be a hoverboard.
Andrew is asking, will we ever see Jono on one of these Q&As again?
I don't know. Jono's not even doing his Q&As anymore. So I don't know. Maybe he's camera shy now. Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah, so like I said, we'll start putting together a list of who to have on. We're going to see Jono at Ubukcon later this month, so we'll ask him what his availability is to be on one of these.
Yes,
all right,
I think he's actually a speaker.
Yeah, he's a keynote speaker at Ubukcon. So, all right, Jan is asking, is there a chance that Ubuntu for Android will see development again, or could this cut into the potential market for pure convergent Ubuntu devices? I don't see any chance for Ubuntu for Android, mostly because nobody really showed interest in it. In order to do that, the work that OEMs would have to put into the Android side of things and creating their own custom version of that, it was a lot of work. I think it led to some problems with them using Google Play Store and making an official Google approved version of Android. So I think that just kind of, it proved the idea of convergence, but as an implementation, it was kind of a dead end. So I don't see that coming back at all.
Chloe is asking, what features are you excited for the near future?
I am excited for the HUD to come back myself. I'm excited for some new designs for Unity 8. I've seen some brainstorming ideas that the design team was working on, some of which I really liked and I'm excited about. So I'm hoping those come to fruition.
Same to me for scopes, and I'm really looking forward to wireless display because I actually got a Miracast dongle for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
If we go outside of the phone, I'm looking forward to confinement on the desktop. So Unity 8 and confined apps and the store on the desktop. It's so nice to be able to just go and install apps, and to be able to go and, as a developer, being able to go and upload new versions of apps and have it available right away. And I think once we have that on the desktop, and we get a lot of these desktop app developers starting to use that, we will see a lot more in terms of development velocity and feature velocity coming to us as desktop users.
Arasminos is asking, When will we see Ubuntu switch on Snappy?
You mean when are we going to switch to Snappy?
I think he means when the desktop will switch to Snappy.
Not until we have Unity 8 in place, which is looking to be, for default anyway, 16.10 at the earliest. There will be a 16.04 session that you can play with, and that should support installing Snappy. There's still some technical details that need to be incorporated into Snappy, taken from Click and put into Snappy to make desktop apps work. So I don't know when that's actually going to be something usable on the desktop, but hopefully by 16.10 it will be. All right, Home PC Gamer asks, I know this is a recursive question, but anyway, I will make it. Are there any chance to have WhatsApp in the Ubuntu phone? So the same answer we always give to this question is it will happen when WhatsApp makes it happen and not a moment before. WhatsApp is one of those apps where it has to come from them or not at all. They've been very diligent with shutting down third-party apps that start using their services heavily enough to be noticed. So we really don't have any options on there other than to wait for them. Maybe if WhatsApp heard this question as many times as we do, that would encourage them to start looking into it. But I think a lot of it's going to be, we have to have a critical mass of users before they're going to invest in porting to Ubuntu.
Chloe is asking, if the new BQ is a hoverboard, how are we supposed to use our phone while hovering? Is this a safety thing, and will there be other stuff such as BQ roller skates with Ubuntu?
I'm hoping for a Meizu jetpack next.
Well, I think that convergence makes the hovering problem go away. You just have a small screen in your hand and you are hovering on your phone.
There you go. Also, as we've proven, you can call something a hoverboard without it either being a board or hovering. All right, Nightmare asks, will we be able to install Ubuntu Touch apps in 16.04 or 16.10? As long as you have Unity 8, yes. It is technically possible to do it on Unity 7 right now. You can download the Click package and use the command line tools to do it. It's not supported because it's not guaranteed to be safe that way. But once you've got Unity 8 running, you should be able to. The caveat there is that some apps in the store are CPU architecture specific right now and are only being built for ARM. So those may not be available on your desktop just yet.
Chloe and Araspinos are asking pretty much the same question. What are the new Unity 8 designs, and can the design team or maybe you share those design ideas?
So I do want to caution that what I saw was essentially brainstorming. There was a bunch of different ideas being thrown about. None of them are the new design yet. They won't get that title until they've actually been approved. And they probably won't be shared much until that happens. All right, Andrew Hazen's asking, what do you think of the Google coding contest, and will we see Ubuntu creating tests for other similar contests in the future, as we have seen many new contributors to various projects? So I know that Jose is very excited about doing Google Summer of Code when that opens up. He's one of the guys that has been leading the Google Code-In organization for Ubuntu. And everything that I hear is that that's going really well. We are getting a lot, like you said, a lot of new contributors, people that are going to stick around and help out Ubuntu long term. So yeah, I do expect that we're going to, at least Google Summer of Code, we're going to participate in. I don't know what other similar kinds of programs there are. All right, Jan is asking, what are your opinions about stricter quality control on the Ubuntu App Store, desktop and mobile? I'm not entirely sure what you're asking in terms of that. Are you talking about like stability quality or feature quality? Can you expand on that question a little bit more?
Chloe is asking, what apps does Ubuntu need to be more competitive with Android and iOS?
WhatsApp. Actually, it seems to be largely the messaging apps that people want. They want WhatsApp, they want Facebook Messenger, they want Google Talk, although we've got a Google Hangouts app now that will work a little bit. I don't know if it's getting push notifications. That's the big blocker for a lot of these, is just getting the services to support our push notifications. Anybody who's used Telegram, and I know Chloe uses Telegram, they've implemented push notifications on the server side. They've worked with us on the client to make sure that that works well. It's a really nice app to use, and it shows the potential for messaging apps on Ubuntu phones. And I do know that there's work on a new framework to make it easier to integrate messaging services into a single messaging app. I don't know when that's scheduled to become available, but that'll hopefully make that easier. But it seems that most of what people are missing are the messaging apps.
Chloe is asking another question. Do you think SteamOS makes Ubuntu vastly more appealing?
I don't think SteamOS has had much of an impact yet. I think they just started shipping devices with it, in November? So I'm not sure we've really seen much of an impact. And it's based on Debian, so it's not really going to change anything for Ubuntu. I think Ubuntu is still an officially supported platform for Steam itself. But SteamOS I don't think has had any impact, at least not yet.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to play with it. I'm only familiar with Steam Big Picture, which is the visible face of SteamOS, but I haven't played with the OS itself. But I'm very curious about it. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not much of a gamer anymore, so I really haven't done anything with Steam at all. I know George Castro's been a big Steam guy, like right from the beginning when it was hard to get it up and running on Ubuntu. So he might have more to say on that. Maybe we can get him on. All right, and then Chloe asked about the chat messaging app with third-party plugins. I did talk briefly about that. There's no time frame or updates on that right now. I think the people who are going to be implementing that are currently working on the synchronization framework, Bateo, which is being used for contacts and calendar events first. So I don't know if they've started at all on the new messaging app plugin or not. And it looks like she just had a follow-up question about XMPP. That's going to be one of the supported ones, but it's not, I think, all going to be based on that.
Jan is asking if we're going to see a refreshed icon set or theme for Unity 7 in 1604. I'm not sure. There has been a lot of work done on the icon set for Unity 8. And
yeah,
I think that there would be a non-trivial amount of work to be done to port it to Unity 7 and support everything we ship by default. Maybe it could happen with a big community push and big community help, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, and the same for themes. I don't think there's any plans to change the themes for Unity 7 right now. We might see at some point in the near future a GTK theme that matches the Ubuntu UI Toolkit theme, just so that once we are running both apps side by side on the desktop, they'll look similar to each other. But as far as like Unity 7 itself, in terms of the dash and the launcher, there's not going to be any major visual changes there. It's just not worth putting the time and effort into that.
So Chloe is asking, anything else getting revamped design-wise? Well, since Ubuntu is well, since the design of Ubuntu is constantly being iterated on, there is always a new design for something. So it's pretty hard for us to keep track of everything getting redesigned because it's always moving. With LTSCs being like the milestones in terms of design. So yeah, the big revamp is going to be the desktop one, which we'll see as a test session in 1604. But yes, there are probably a lot of things getting redesigned, but I'm not sure what exactly except the big one.
Yeah, I think convergence and desktop features is going to be the main focus for design in the near future. I don't think there's going to be much visual overhaul, with the exception of maybe Unity 8, until we've got a really good desktop story on that.
Well, the UI toolkit is going to evolve, so apps are going to change a bit and adapt to the general feel of Unity 8 as it evolves itself. So that will be more gradual than a big revamp.
All right, Jan gives some more information about what he was asking. He says he's noticed a lot of what he would consider junk apps, which are simply links to mobile websites in the store. I don't think we're going to necessarily crack down on that because that really requires somebody to be looking closely at it. There is ratings and reviews where you can, leave negative reviews or low quality ratings, and that will push things further down the stack. I would like to make web apps, like actual web apps, not just static web pages, but actual interactive web apps, more featureful and better integrated into Ubuntu itself, so that they don't, so that you won't consider them junk apps anymore. But I think for ones that are just, I want to point you to a website, and there's nothing else interactive about it other than that, I think the ratings and reviews is the right tool to use to kind of push those down so they become less visible. All right, Chloe is asking, does Canonical plan to move away from Google to more open source solutions, with being both an open source OS and because open source apps can come to Ubuntu Phone while Google apps not so much? The reason we focus so much on Google and Google's apps is not because we particularly like those over the competition, but because those are the most used. And so, focusing our resources on those gives us the biggest return on that. As the platform expands and becomes better, we hope that more open source alternatives become popular on it. I'd love to see OwnCloud working on Ubuntu Phone, including background file sync. I think that would be awesome. There are still things we need to work on the platform level in order to make that an option. Using OwnCloud for things like calendar and contact sync would also be nice, and I think the new syncing framework is going to allow that.
Nightmare is asking, do you see Ubuntu becoming the Windows of the Linux world? That's an interesting question.
The limitation of it being the Linux world is kind of interesting, because it's kind of like saying, will Linux become the Windows of the Linux world? I'm not trying to say that all Linux is Ubuntu, but the kind of limiting it to the Linux world was interesting. I'm not sure what exactly you mean by this, if you mean just popularity or you mean some of the other more negative connotations that come with being compared to Windows. We're already very popular in the Linux world. We're, as far as I know, the biggest, most used desktop in the Linux world. So if you mean just popularity, then yeah, I see us being that already. I hope that we don't become like a lock-in. Like, I hope people don't target Ubuntu and abandon Fedora or SUSE or Arch and say, no, we're not going to support you at all. I would like to see anything that runs on Ubuntu still be able to run on those other desktops. So I hope we don't become this kind of anti-competitive platform in the Linux world. I hope we remain open and that other distros are able to take advantage of the work that we do and the opportunities that we open up.
Next question. Chloe is asking, what do you expect in OTA 10?
When is OTA 10? Is that the next one, or is OTA 9 the next one?
The next one is OTA 9. OTA 10, I'm going to paste the link on IRC. It's basically the list of bugs currently being planned for OTA 10. That's that as far as we have in terms of like list of fixes and new features. So there are a lot of them. I haven't looked at the list yet, so I can say there will be this feature, but have a look at the list and also the list of OTA 9 bugs, and because maybe most of them won't actually land in OTA 9, and you will have a pretty good idea of OTA 10.
All right, Chloe's asking, will Unity 8 be as customizable as Unity 7? I think eventually it will be, you know, as it grows and we add features and we add the ability to customize and tweak existing features. That's not really a driving goal at this point, to make it as customizable as possible, or even as customizable as Unity 7. But you know, we've already seen Unity 7 become more customizable over its lifetime, and I expect Unity 8 will do the same.
Nightmare is asking, post-convergence, what do you think the canonical workforce distribution will be like? More cloud, personal, mobile focused?
It's kind of hard to say.
Well, there is definitely a lot of the workforce already working on IoT and smart devices.
Probably there will be a shift in where people are once everything comes together, because right now, you know, desktop and phone and IoT are kind of separate groups. They're technically separate groups, but there is still some overlap in people moving between. But once those all the code bases merge for that, I expect those three different groups are going to get jumbled up and mixed up a little bit, and probably come out and separate out for new focuses that are slightly different from where they are now. But I don't expect there to be a really big upheaval in that. Right. Andrew Hazen asks, will we ever be able to choose the apps to go at the top of the app dash via the UI? You can do that right now with one of the tweak tools that's in the open store. So that's, you know, as far as the back end, that's already there. Somebody just needs to make a front end for that, other than the tweak app that already exists. I don't know when that might be. If you want to contribute to that, you can talk with either the Unity 8 developers or maybe system settings. Probably the Unity 8 developers. I would imagine this should go in the shell itself to be able to do that. I think the original plan was that it would be based on usage patterns. That might still be the plan, and it just hasn't been implemented yet. And since you are very capable with these kinds of things, Andrew, if you want to join #Ubuntu-Unity and ask in there what the plan is and how you can help, I'm sure they would appreciate that. I know I've already customized mine using the tweak tool, and it does help quite a bit being able to do that.
Andrew is asking, is or will there be a scope that shows you web browser bookmarks?
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, there used to be one on Unity 7 a few cycles ago. By default, actually, it was pretty well hidden, but it was there. But for Unity 8, right now it would need to be an unconfined scope for it to be able to access the web browser database.
Or it would have to be built into the web browser package, which I would think would be the logical place.
That's right.
If you want to talk to Olivier Tilloy, I think is his last name, who's been working on the web browser app, about putting in a scope in that.
Yes.
It should be pretty easy to do, though, because I think it's just backed by a SQLite database.
It is. So yes, it would be pretty easy. And yes, Andrew, if you want to look into it, it shouldn't be a huge task. And if you don't, I will.
All right. Chloe's asking, is there a Mycroft phone update? So they posted recently a desktop app update on, I think, their Kickstarter page. I don't know what bearing that has on the actual phone itself. I know that Ryan Sipes, the CTO of Mycroft, is going to be at Ubukcon and Scale. So maybe he'll have a presentation on an update for that.
Just Caracas is asking, when can we expect the new BQ phone? Because Windows is getting a lot of news with Continuum. And there will be soon a phone with it from Acer with the dock and stuff. We can say soon.
Yeah, we don't have exact information. Yeah. I said earlier that I think it's going to be shown off at Mobile World Congress next month. But yeah, we're all going to have to just wait for an official announcement from BQ when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right, Chloe's asking, Unity 8 background updates. I heard that was a possibility to come back a little bit ago, but no information about it. Not sure what you mean by background updates. Can you expand on that?
Andrew is asking, currently anyone can post a bunking web app and point it to a bad website. Will authors' apps have the ability to become verified and get a tick next to them like other services?
I think that's a good idea. I mean, in the meantime, you can always report bad apps, but reacting to it after the fact is not the ideal way of handling that. You can talk to Martin Albacete about adding that kind of feature to the App Store. I don't know if that's on their plans yet or not, but it would seem to make sense to me. We'll add Martin to the list of people to bring on for Q&A sometime soon. We used to have like an Etherpad or something, didn't we, David?
Yes, we used to.
I have to go back and find that.
Yeah. I was looking for it before the session. I haven't found it. Chloe is asking, how will desktop apps come to Unity 8? Will Canonical Goat and Snappy a ton of dev apps, or will that be more up to developers, and how will Canonical make the transition from Unity 7 to Unity 8 easier?
So I think the plan is to do a combination of both. There is some plugins for Snapcraft, which is the tool for building snappy apps, that will let you grab deb packages out of the archives and create a snappy package for that. That's assuming that the code itself will run happily under confinement and in a different location. Some of them, they may require some actual coding work to get that to work, in which case it's going to be up to the upstream developers to do. What we think is going to happen is that the upstream developers will choose to adopt Snappy because A, it's an easy packaging system to use, and set up into their build system. And B, because it's going to let them push updates to the millions of Ubuntu users immediately and easily without having to wait 6 months or longer to get these to them. So we think that the selling points of Snappy are going to outweigh the cost to upstreams of maintaining their own Snappy packages, and that more of them will pick that up, and then we don't have to worry about pulling packages in from Debian and converting them ourselves.
And I guess this also answers Jan's next question, which is when can we reasonably expect an Ubuntu release with running end-user application? Because right now we are only doing it for Firefox.
Right, and doing it for Firefox is actually quite a bit of resources that go into that, which is why we can't expand it to too many apps. But yeah, once we move to Snappy on the desktop, then Firefox can provide releases directly to Ubuntu users. LibreOffice can provide releases directly to Ubuntu users. It takes the archives and the archive life cycle out of the middle of that process, and then you'll be able to get what is essentially going to be rolling application releases directly to you. So that'll come when Unity 8 and confinement comes to the desktop, which again is going to be testable in 1604 and possibly default in 1610. All right, just correct assess. Any update on multiple Google Calendars on the phone from the same account? I can't find the bug anymore, and I thought it was targeted for OTA 9. No, I don't have an update on that. Let me check my calendar real quick and see what it has. Since I'm on the nightly builds, so I get whatever's currently being built, even if it's not past id testing or gone out to an OTA yet. Let's see, calendars. Oh, I gotta log into Google. Hang on. If you want to keep doing questions while I do this, I might take a minute.
But I'm actually checking the same thing, and I think I have multiple calendars, but I'm not sure. Well, next question I'll check. Nightmare is asking, where do you draw the line between what should be a core feature of Ubuntu Touch and what should be a plugin app? Well, it's usually the platform team who draws this line. In terms of what we need to have, what we want to have, what would be nice to have, I think the line is drawn just above what we need to have and the workforce we can allow to what we want to have. I think that's where this line is drawn.
Yeah, we don't have much support in the way of third-party plugins in Ubuntu Touch, just because everything's built around this idea of confinement, that we don't have to go and approve third-party code because it's all going to run in some safe environment, and building it directly into, or letting it plug directly into Unity 8 itself is going to break that. So really anything that's going to extend the shell itself is going to have to be done in the shell itself. The exception to that is, of course, things like scopes and indicators, where we do have APIs set up that they can talk to so that we can run them confined but get their data into Unity 8 itself in a useful way. And it looks like the calendar currently doesn't have the ability to add multiple calendars from the same account. So that's not in the dailies yet, so it probably is not going to be in OTA 9.
Chloe is asking, when can I expect an Ubuntu Steam console download? Sorry. When can I expect an Ubuntu Steam console download the game? Give my phone an update. Ask my Ubuntu fridge if it has said soda. Well, if it had Ubuntu Cola. Tell my Ubuntu hoverboard to go to the fridge, etc. Soon, I hope.
Yeah, that's going to take a lot of coordination between a lot of players to get all that working. Um, so I know Mycroft is working on something with drones to where you can like give a voice command to your drone to go patrol, the perimeter of a building. So they've got that working or close to working. So you're not too far off. I don't know about the hoverboard though.
Well, you could ask the drone if you have soda left.
Well, so GE had a contest where somebody did like a smart fridge. So the fridge could tell you if you've got soda left. You can ask Mycroft to ask the fridge if you have soda left. You can ask Mycroft to send a drone to pick up your soda if the fridge has a door that'll open and close by itself.
And let's not forget about Earl drones.
Yeah. You can have the spider robot bring you a soda.
Yes, a soda, which would be pretty creepy, I guess, but pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite Terminator-esque level of technology, but it's a little less murdery, so that's good. Chloe is also asking, since Valve loves Ubuntu, why aren't they making an Ubuntu Steam scope for featured games and specials, etc.? Well, I think because Steam does that already. Like, isn't that essentially what the purpose of the Steam client is to show you installed and available games?
And I think there is an Ubuntu Game News scope in the store, which aggregates mostly Twitter feeds, I think. And it includes Valve news and Linux gaming news. So you have a start for this scope. But yes, sadly, Steam doesn't have an open API, and you can try to do some nasty web scraping on like SteamDB or stuff like this and get a scope running, but it won't be an official one. But why not? Maybe we just need to ask them. I don't know.
All right, Chloe asks, Nokia did some GPS thing for Ubuntu phones. When is the Nokia Ubuntu phone? So as awesome as a Nokia Ubuntu phone would be, Nokia here, which is the mapping service that we use, is actually kind of an independent company within the Nokia company. So they don't really have much influence over the division that makes phones, unfortunately. I could really go for an indestructible Ubuntu phone though, because I've abused my little Nexus 4 here pretty badly.
Chloe, so as added to a previous question, which was about background Unity 8. So it's about the background under scopes. And right now, no, you can't change it. And I'm not sure what the plan is in this regard. I actually manually changed mine by modifying the file itself. But for now, that's your only option, I'm afraid. Mike, I think you are muted.
Sorry. It wouldn't be too hard to implement technically. I actually changed it at one point in the code to point to something else. The difficulty is in the design, making sure that the dash is going to be usable no matter what. If you get a mostly white image or a mostly black image, how is the text going to look on top of either of those? If it's a very busy patterned image, are you still going to be able to pick up the text easily? So it's really more of a design problem right now than a technical one.
Nightmare is asking, how bleeding edge will Ubuntu be using Snappy? And he suggests an arch bleeding edge level.
That's going to depend on the developers, really, and how quickly they get their newest stuff into the store.
Yes, and also note that in Snappy you have the concept of channels that apply to, well, the distro itself, but to some extent to apps as well. So you can choose to be on the bleeding edge if developers have uploaded bleeding edge packages.
All right, so we didn't notice it, but we've actually gone 4 minutes over time right now. So I think we've got like 3 or 4 questions left. Why don't we answer those, and we'll just call it quits with the questions that we have currently. So Chloe's asking, will Snappy packages work on Unity 7 Ubuntu-based distributions and Debian? There is a plan to make them installable and usable on Unity 7 desktop. Will Cook talked a little bit about that in the last Ubuntu Online Summit. As far as having them work in Debian, I don't know. That's going to be up to Debian how they want to handle that. Hazen asks, what happens when there's a backwards incompatible change to something in the platform, for example, GCC 5, that causes everything to need to be recompiled? As it is expected if you built against framework X, that should work and not require a rebuild at a later stage. GCC 5 kind of threw a monkey wrench into our, don't break apps story. We can control to a certain extent, like the Qt APIs. We can support old versions even after we've replaced them. We do that right now. But as far as the level of GCC and glib and stuff like that, I don't know what our plans are for that. It is a known problem. I know people are looking into it. That's much more low level than I typically wade into, so I don't have any details on that.
Jan is asking, has the pilot application for Ubuntu Mobile been useful for development? So if you don't know what pilot is, it's a self-QA testing tool which uploads your results to a common database. And I don't know yet.
So the people to talk to about that would be Nick Skaggs and possibly Alan Pope, because I think some of the core apps might be using it now. So one or both of them might be on next week's QA. So if you come back next week at the same time and place and ask that again, you might be able to get a better answer than we can give.
And
the last one's for you.
Question. Yes. Jan is asking if Ubuntu has much mindshare in France. Is it a popular operating system over there? Well, what gave me away?
So the Ubuntu party in Paris, I think, shows just how popular Ubuntu is over there.
We had over 1,004 people, and 1,400 people over the weekend, I think, if I remember correctly. And it's pretty popular. People have heard of it, and if you talk to someone about Ubuntu, it will probably ring a bell. Well, it depends on the age of the person. Mostly younger people will have heard about it. And yeah, it's pretty popular in technical circles.
All right, and with that, we're going to call it quits since we're almost 10 minutes past. We weren't expecting this many questions the first time back after the holidays, so thank you all for all of these great questions and helping us fill the time. You can rewatch this video and past on-air videos on the YouTube channel, Ubuntu On Air. You can also follow us on Twitter at Ubuntu On Air. And come back, like I said, next week, same time, same place, and we'll have some different members of the Ubuntu community team giving another Q&A for you. And thank you, David, for coming on with me for this.
Thanks, Mike.
And we'll talk to all of you later.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.